Hello everyone, this is Roshni at a legal intern with LEXIS and Company. So in this video, this is going to be a very fun video because I'm going to discuss about a very few very unknown laws and weird legislations in India. So we all know India is a very different country with all its cultural diversities and everything, but there are certain laws that makes India even more special, and I'm going to explain few of them in detail in this particular video. So basically, the law prohibiting kite flying. The kite flying, we all know that kite flying is our childhood memory, and we had been flying kites during festivals and everything in our during our school days and everything. But you could go for jail for flying kite, and you could also be fined with the maximum of 10 lakh rupees for flying a kite if you fly a kite in a person's property or land or sea or in the air. So basically, flying objects are considered to be an aircraft under the Aircraft Act, and the flying objects like balloons, gliders, flying machines and kites are some among the things that come under this particular act. So flights and flying gliders are okay, but the use of the word kite and balloons are a bit weirder, because you cannot fly a kite or you cannot fly a balloon too in the property of others, and you could be punished for that when it goes against the laws or to the property of someone. It shouldn't be going. So this is one among the very weird law that I found to be very interesting as well, because flying kite has always been our childhood memory, and suddenly now flying kites is not that legal as you think. So that is one law that I would wanted to discuss. And the second law was that prohibition of obscene acts in public, PDA. What is PDA? Public display of affection. So basically, PDA, it means in the Indian Penal Code defines that it is illegal to do an obscene or indecent action in the public. So when you're in the public and when you're with a person, you cannot talk, sing or do anything that is vulgar. So basically, singing or doing something or making comments, vulgar comments, it's all fine. Yeah, reduces the modesty and it affects the modesty of a person, thus you cannot do that. But when you cannot even do certain actions or activities in public that may be deemed to be public display of affection. So there is one weird thing is that the Indian Penal Code nowhere defines what constitutes a PDA, that is the public display of affection. If the government deems fit, if the legislative authority feels fit, they could deem even a handshake to be a PDA. There is no definition for what is a PDA in anywhere in the Indian Penal Code. Thus, defining a PDA is in the hands of a deciding authority. So even a handshake or even a slight finger touch could mean PDA if the deciding authority feels so. That is one among very interesting laws, or which made me think, why is it like this? So yeah, that is one thing. Now I'll be moving on to the adultery law. Even though the Joseph Shrine versus Union of India scrapped off the Article 497 and deemed it that adultery is no more a criminal offence, the adultery law is itself very weird law, because it states that any person, any man in general, any man cannot have sexual relation with a woman who is married without the permission of the husband. So this is called adultery. So basically, having sexual affairs with a lady, basically sexual affairs with a person who is already married too. So this is called adultery. But the adultery laws in India do not talk about a woman committing adultery. If a woman commits adultery, it is not deemed to be criminal offence. Only if a man commits adultery, it is considered to be a criminal offence. Even though after the Joseph Shrine versus Union of India section 497 is being scrapped off, and not scrapped off but at least decriminalized, this law has to be considered because it doesn't actually it kind of violates Article 14, and even though this was held by the Supreme Court itself, it is very clear that it's violating Article 14, because women are not punished under this law. Under section 497, women were not punished, but men were absolutely punished when they commit adultery. So this is something that was very confusing in the Indian laws. So treasure trove legislation. The treasure trove legislation says that if you find anything in the ground, if you are digging a pit, if you are digging something, and if you find any object that could cost more than 10 rupees, so anything, it could be a bottle or it could be anything which in the current era, if it costs more than 10 rupees, you have to give it to the government, and the government owns it. So if, like anything, it means that if you are owning it, it's illegal, and you can be fined too, and you can be punished for having the possession of that particular objects. So even if it's a plastic water bottle or anything which could which could cost more than 10 rupees and which is found under the earth, you have to give it to the government. So if you have possession of this particular article in your house or with you, you can be punished for that. This is something weird, because more than 10 rupees is such a small amount in the current generation at least, and having finding something under the ground which is more than 10 rupees, and if you have it with you, it means it is offense. It's something doesn't make any sense for me. So at least the amount of the articles can be increased is what I suggest for this particular legislation, something above 1,000 or something, because treasures are meant to be treasures and not something that are more than rupees 10. So that is something I found very weird about a law that is in Indian legislations. So Indian Sarais Act of 1867, this law is something that I loved so much, because this law is very interesting and also very helpful. Do we know that at least does anybody know that if you are on your way and if you have to use the washroom, you can enter even into a 5-star hotel just to drink a glass of water, or just to or just to use the washroom. So you can enter any restaurant or any 5-star hotel or any big restaurant for that reason. You need not have your food there, you need not do anything, you can just use the washroom, and or if you are very thirsty or parched, you can just get a glass of water from the very high costly restaurant, just to make sure that you feel better. So the Indian Sarais Act of 1867 makes sure, it is a 150-year-old legislation, we know that, but still it is very a very useful or a very good legislation, I would say, as far as like among all the legislation that are weird in this particular video that I'm making. I think the Indian Sarais Act is a very good legislation, because we didn't know about it, that if you go to any restaurant, you can enter any restaurant in a way to just to use a washroom, or you can just to drink a water. I personally like this law very much, and now I'll move on to the next legislation, that is the government's power to land acquisition. This one is a very horrible law, I would say, because if you are owning a land and the government is claiming that they need your land for a particular factor or something. We all know that right to own a property was used to be a fundamental right, but later it became a legal right, and you don't have a right for your property. So if the government wants your land, it can take your land by paying a very less amount than the market price, and it can take away your land, stating that it's for a government purpose. So this law is also very it could create a miscarriage of justice, and at times it could actually create injustice for people. So this law is something that I don't support personally, but yeah, it exists in Indian laws as well. So these are some of the very uncommon laws that I came across and I wanted to discuss in the particular video, and I hope it helps you all. Thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you so much.